So I'm just going to get this out of the way. In my opinion, this is the most overrated episode in the series. Now that doesn't mean I hate it, because I don't. And that doesn't mean I think it's bad, because it's not. But for me, it's one of the most bland and forgettable episodes there is. Now I do understand why it's so loved, and I'll be honest, a lot of my problems are just nitpicks. But if everyone else can nitpick, so can I. And hey, we're going back to the style of reviewing that I started in Rainbow Falls and haven't done since. So, let's start with the writing. So the thing everyone points to when they praise this episode is Rarity, and I completely agree. Rarity here is a very strong, intelligent character who is able to get herself out of a bad situation. She doesn't need anyone's help, despite what you may think of her given her personality, and even uses her stereotype to defeat the bad guys. And besides that, she is also really nice. I guess being the element of generosity, she kind of has to be. Instead of just using Spike's affections to get him to help her for free, she does pay him back with a gem. And the rest of the cast are good as well. All of them show that they value their friend and will do anything to help her. But now we get into my problems with the story. First, let's get the nitpicks out of the way. Why does Spike try to fish out the dogs with a gem? They just spent the last 2 minutes trying to get through one of the holes. He finds one, and instead of trying to go down, they just try to get them to come up. Because that worked out so well before, didn't it? Speaking of Spike, I never liked his obsession with Rarity. At the beginning it may have been kind of cute as a one-off joke, but soon it got annoying. Really, really fast. Spike, I like ya, but she's 23, you're 5. If you want to see this type of relationship done right, watch Gravity Falls. 1, they don't drag it out as long, and 2, Dipper and Wendy are much closer in age, so there may actually be a future for them. Why is it that the spell Twilight used to turn the main 6 into breezies caused so much backlash, yet her knowing Rarity's gem-finding spell didn't? Doesn't that make Rarity's special talent kind of useless? But those were just nitpicks. Now we get to my 2 biggest problems with the writing. First, the moral. Now the moral about not judging a book by its cover, and sometimes those you don't expect to be tough may surprise you, was very good. However, it leads to a couple of unfortunate implications.
Just because I'm a lady doesn't mean I cannot handle myself in a sticky situation. I had them wrapped around my hoof the entire time.
I can't wait to write to Princess Celestia to tell her what you taught me today.
Me? What did I teach you?
Just because some pony is ladylike doesn't make her weak. In fact, by using her wits, a seemingly defenseless pony can be the one who outsmarts and outshines them all.
So remember kids, if one of your friends is kidnapped by a group of men who talk like this,
Yes, we hunt.
Don't worry about them. They'll be fine. Also, it indirectly teaches the lesson that if you are ever kidnapped, the best thing to do is annoy your kidnappers. Eventually, they'll let you go. No, eventually they'll kill you. I know this is a kid's show and they can't kill her, but it still bothers me. But even that doesn't irritate me as much as the villains. God, these guys suck. I hate them, and not for the reason that I'm supposed to. These Diamond Dogs fail in every single category. From a writing perspective, they aren't intimidating. At all. Well, okay, I take that back. They were intimidating in the beginning when they blocked Spike and the rest of the main 6 from helping Rarity. That was cool. But if you are defeated because one spoiled brat kept whining, then you fail as a serious threat. So the only way these guys could work is if they were funny. And we'll get to that later. Let's first discuss how I hate the way these things look and sound. I hate the way these things look and sound. The animation on them is too ugly to be appealing, but too clean to be truly disgusting. Honestly, they don't even look like they belong in the same universe. If they didn't tell us, I wouldn't have even guessed they were dogs. I would have guessed they were some kind of mutated offspring of a pig and a gopher. And their voices, God, I hate them. Yes, I get it, they're supposed to be a parody of Gollum from Lord of the Rings. But their voice and look fit because the ring drained him of his humanity. These things just look and sound that way because, well, they're evil. But taking them out of it, the rest of the episode looks really good. The animation is great and there are some fun action scenes and nice effects as well. I really like Sapphire Shores. Both her design and voice were really good and made up for the fact that she didn't have much personality. But to be fair, she was only in 2 minutes, how much personality can she really get? The last thing I want to talk about here, and I didn't know if I should put it in production or writing, but the way this episode is constructed is odd. Despite being a Rarity episode, the focus is on both her and the rest of the main 5, and instead of just going back and forth, we get 7 minutes of Spike and the others, 7 minutes of Rarity and the dogs, and then they collide. I think they should have split it up more, going back and forth between the two, like show 3 minutes of Spike and the others, and then 3 minutes of Rarity and the dogs. I actually think that would have made some scenes more funny.
Ha-ha! It worked! We're in! Now we can finally save Rarity!
This water is hardly sparkling, but I suppose it will have to do.
And hey, it would have even hammered in the message more. The comedy overall in the episode was a mixed bag, but those dogs were not funny. They were just annoying. And kind of infuriating. Seriously, you've been living down here for years and you never noticed the hundreds of gems buried all over and only a few inches deep? But the comedy wasn't all bad, and instead of just explaining it, here are some of the comedic highlights of the episode for you to enjoy.
Which way do we go?
Whining! I am not whining. I am complaining. Do you want to hear whining? This is whining. Oh, this harness is too tight. It's going to chafe. Can't you loosen it? Oh, it hurts and it's so nasty. Why didn't you clean it first? It's going to leave a stain. And the wagon's getting heavy. Why do I have to pull it?
Oh, doggies. If you can take this bull by the horns, you better be ready for a ride. Come on, ponies! Kick 'em up, kick 'em out! Buck 'em up, buck 'em down! I'm coming for you, my lady! Hi-ho, Twilight! Away!
And just what do you think you're doing?
Please, Twilight, just give me this.
Fine.
And there's more. Those were just the ones that I found the funniest. And like I said earlier, there were some fun action scenes, and it was a little nice adventure out of Ponyville. So no, A Dog and Pony Show is not a bad episode, but I feel it is the weakest of the solo Rarity-focused episodes. But to be fair, most of her episodes are absolutely fantastic, so being the weakest isn't really an insult. I get why people love it, but it's not one I go back and watch that often. So I give writing a 6, production a 7, and enjoyment a 6.5. Yeah, this episode made me use decimals. Now that's a rarity. So now that I've talked about what I think is the most overrated episode, next we will be looking at my most underrated episode. Yes, it's not Equestria Games. But before we get to that, we'll be stepping away from Friendship is Magic and instead looking at a failed animated pilot to a spin-off of one of Cartoon Network's most popular shows. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you on Halloween.